Welcome back to this conversation about the well-living workplace. And I like to think at this point in time we're in conversation. We've gone through topics like the 10 characteristics, and we've learned a little bit from the statement, when you listen, you learn. So I want to turn it around and look at when you share, you educate. And I want to unpack the word share. Now you remember from one of the earlier modules around storytelling and story sharing that the importance of sharing, but I want to expand on what that actually means. And to be able to do that, here's a great tip. Words matter, and there are no absolute words. In other words, the words that we use indicate what's going on in our lives. They might help you understand the next steps that are going to unfold. They might give you a sense of what you need and want, because as you put them together into sentences or into questions, words matter. But there are no absolute words, and what I mean by that is often the words that you might use may not be the same meaning that's given to what another person would use those words for. And like a very striking way is the use of the word yes and no. Yes can take you up just as yes might take you down, and no might take you up as no might bring you down or up, and yes and no, and just even those simple words have a great influence on what's going on in your life. So when you share, I would really encourage you to be really aware of the words that you're using to share, because words matter. Now, as we move along in this story, there's a phrase that I would really encourage you to use in the well-living workplace, and it's in contrast to another phrase that tends to be there. I'm going to encourage you to ask, share, ask. Because the more that you ask about what's going on and tap into other people's hierarchy of values, then the more you can share back against that hierarchy of values, so that you can ask again to be able to share again and back and forth. Because often what takes place is that people do tell, maybe ask, and tell. Now there are places where you may have to tell, but I believe there's a lot more places where you can ask. And that's a great encouragement for you as you move forward. So what I'd like to do is just take a page out of Facebook right now. Now you may or may not be on it, I appreciate that. But there's this thing about know, like, and trust, and this is what builds up credibility, especially in the well-living workplace, is if you know someone, you like them, then you're going to trust them. But what I mean by the Facebook reference is know, like, trust, comment, share. They actually have these other features. So when you comment on something that you like and you trust about the person, that's one level of credibility. But when you actually share out that you are letting people know that you have seen this, you've made a comment, that is really a powerful credibility piece. And in the workplace, the more that you think about this comment and share, in other words, you're passing along what's working, that's really important, or you're passing along the answers to the questions. That is really important. That's what sharing is about in the workplace, in the well-living workplace. Now, some of you may be sitting there as well thinking, how else could I share? Do you have a book in you? Everyone has a book in them. Being able to write it down in a way that they can share some important topics. In today's world, we think of a book as more like a business card, and you'd be able to get your ideas down and be able to use that to be able to find some of the work that you're looking for in your second career, in your next 50. Also, the book is a really great way to pull together the ideas that you want to work with. It helps you out with your mission and vision and values. It helps you out with your storytelling and story sharing. It helps you out with all the characteristics of the well-living workplace that I've already shared with you. So I would encourage you to look at a book as a really great way to share who you are and what it is that you have to offer the world. And I know that inside of you, by sharing, what you're doing is you're going to be the best for the world, not the best in the world. And when you share, you're being the best for the world. So with that, what we're going to do is we're going to return and we're going to look at when you listen, you learn, when you share, you educate. And I want to just unpack the word educate when we move to the next module.